keeping you up to date with the latest in Texas Tech sports. This is the Ask Level podcast, brought to you by Double T 97.3.
Ask Level, the podcast, episode number 17 has arrived. Alongside Chris Level, I'm Chois Woodman. Glad to have you part of the podcast once again. And we're coming off of a extremely busy, newsy sports week. Level that finished pretty good for Red Raider basketball. So we've got plenty to dive into, but I can't remember, mid-December week that involved so much news. Obviously the Chris Beard stuff earlier in the week, last week, Mike Leach and his death. And of course, there were rumors afloat everywhere. There was Fardaws Aimaq that's, one report said he was leaving, and then he loads onto a plane to head to Houston with the rest of the basketball team. And then we see Texas Tech basketball play the best game they've played in quite some time and win by 50 down in Houston. So quite a whirlwind of a week, Level.
Yeah, it was, and these weeks are scheduled to be somewhat busy this time of year now, anyways, just because of a lot of transfer activity with football, and you thought that would kind of lead the way because we had a lot of news as it relates to the roster, outgoing, potential, incoming, I mean, all those things, and Mike's passing was startling, unsettling. We spent all last week just reminiscing, and a lot of good memories there from a lot of people, and really all over the country. And everybody had their own version of Mike's stories and all those things. And at the same time, obviously former Texas Tech basketball coach Chris Beard, was making. There was a lot of news there that was unfortunate. And anyway, just and then obviously the Red Raiders had all kinds of possible drama with really ended up being like no news, but you kind of rode the wave of your potential. First of all, you play a tight game against Eastern Washington,
right?
And you're just not playing well right now, and there's some injuries, and there's some just youth, which we've documented ad nauseum. But just kind of a crazy week. So I guess I don't know where you want to go, but we can go whatever direction you want.
Well, I will start with kind of take it semi-chronologically through the week and recap, since it's a weekly podcast. But someone asked, as one of our questions today, can you give us one of your favorite personal Mike Leach stories?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, some personal, some professional, some, but I just, like many, I mean, Choice, I guess I don't know if I'm doing what I'm doing, if not in a way for him, because I got a call, and I don't know if it was around 06, 07 ish, and it was from Craig Wells, who was kind of in charge of the broadcasting and media, and it was internal at the time at Texas Tech, and he said, "Hey, do you want to host Mike's coaches show?" And I said, yeah, sure. Let's do it. And so that kind of, I don't know, he kind of had, I'd been covering the program, and we'd built up a relationship, and he trusted me. And so that's the professional one, but, so many of the other ones are just, funny and off color. But yeah, I mean, I just, I hated the way that it ended here. Obviously, so many people did.
Sure.
I hated that that you're not all able to get back on the same page. Don't know if that was ever going to happen, but I thought in some ways the Liberty Bowl in some ways was good for a lot of people involved. I know the game didn't end the way Mike wanted it to, but I thought that was just, I don't know if there was closure there. I don't really know, but yeah, I mean, and it's just, you look at the coaching tree, you look at just the way he changed the sport and the way that, he's still the winningest coach in school history here. And, somebody's going to have to, coach here for a long time and be successful in a pretty good league to surpass that. But I just think about so many of the memories that we all have from that era that he's responsible for. And he wasn't perfect and he wasn't without controversy, and none of us are. But man, that it just kind of stunning as you look back. But I appreciated all the stories, the good journalism around the country that admired him from afar, and I appreciated Texas Tech and somebody like Zane Perry for the sticker that'll be back on the back of the helmet for the bowl game. I just thought that's very appropriate. And I don't know what else to say there, but yeah, I mean, it just, will be sorely missed. And I just thought in the back of my mind when I saw him last year, spent some time with him, he hadn't changed. And I thought, he's going to coach for a bit longer and then he'll kind of, retire and then just go into, TV or something and just kind of continue to entertain because he was so much more than all the sound bites that you're getting. And those are just all undefeated. But,
sure.
You just look at the way he coached offense and the way he surrounded himself. I heard, and real quick, I heard Graham Harrell, say the other day that, the numbers in his play calls, they meant nothing, which I think not a lot of people knew. Did you hear these? Did you hear this?
No.
That's so
great.
like he would have a play called 618, but the 6, the 1, and the 8, it didn't mean anything. It was just that was the play.
Yeah,
and
the
so
normal offense that's speaking to different.
Well, yeah, you're talking about routes and coverage or blocking scheme or whatever. And he was like, we had, all these numbers, and there was a double digit plays, there's 3-digit plays, or single digit plays, all that stuff. But they didn't really mean anything. That's and I think funny. That was, and then Eric Morris was asked about, why do you think he had such a good coaching tree? And he said, well, he was surrounded by so many talented individuals that he would never let change anything that he wanted to do. So he's like, I think it all motivated. He was joking, but he's like, I think all these guys were motivated to want to go try what they thought would work, and that he's laughing. He's like, that's why I think that there was such a good coaching tree, because he never would change, his offense. It was the same stuff in year 1 or 2 as it was whenever he left here. So that was the beauty of it in a way. But
I mean, we could spend an entire podcast on Mike Leach pretty easily. There's no question. BJ Simmons tweeted it, but his fingerprints are all over the game, no matter what level you watch. But it's just
high school, college, professional.
Every game you watch pretty well, maybe sans Army, Navy, you're seeing Mike Leach's fingerprints on it. And it's really cool. There's been few coaches that have had as big of an impact on the game in our lifetimes as he has. So, and it's been great to see everybody talking about it. But that was obviously huge news early in the week at a more local, at least currently local level. Basketball wise, you mentioned Eastern Washington, you kind of sneak by. Then the next day, Jeff Goodman tweets out about Fardaws Aimaq entering the transfer portal. A day later, a little longer than a day later, I say no, he's not entering the transfer portal. So, and someone asked, what's the truth there? Was he going to enter, or is that ever going to be known?
I don't. That's a great question. I think there was some confusion. I think that, whether his injury or NIL or, all the above or whatever all factors in, I'm sure that there's truth there. But I have no way of knowing that, because in some ways there was never really any news, unless you buy the report on the intent.
Right.
But I don't believe he ever entered the portal at all. And he was obviously with us in Houston this weekend, and so he never really missed any time. And so I really don't know. It's very bizarre. I think, and again, he's not really ready to play anytime soon. I think. I think you were kind of hoping that maybe it would be the first of the year. I think he's a ways away. So the whole thing is just,
it's nuts.
Yeah, it is nuts. But it got everybody stirred up for sure.
It
And
did.
nationally, locally, and everything. So yeah, who the heck knows? But yeah, I mean, he's maintained that he's, because I'm just going off of his commentary. I don't know where the rumors started and all those things, but I'm not going anywhere and all that. So the end, I guess. I mean, we just take him at his word. But
I think you have to, because everything else is rumors, and goodness gracious, there were a lot of those floating around this week. But was the rumors, the outside noise, was it what this program needed, or is it just that bad of a Jackson State team? What in the world happened on Saturday where Texas Tech blows the doors off of Jackson State?
Yeah, they did play well. I think Jackson State drops to 1-10. They have a net ranking of around 320, 325, and so they're not. I'll say this: that they played a brutal schedule.
Yeah.
Okay. They have played and they have yet to play a home game. Okay. They had only played one neutral site game prior to the game versus Texas Tech. I mean, we're talking Michigan, Indiana. They played at SMU, TCU. They'd beaten SMU, but they played at Abilene Christian. They played at Akron, Toledo. On and on, and really, and Mississippi State was the latest one,
ranked team,
and really in almost every game, with the exception of at Indiana, they'd been in it. I mean, most of these games they're losing by around 8 to 10 points. That's at Michigan, at TCU. Like I said, they beat this is Mississippi State as well, and so I think Texas Tech was prepared for a feisty Jackson State team that's got some talent, and they're coached by former NBA champ Mo Williams, who was on the Cavaliers team back in, I think, 15 and 16. But then you just kind of come out and you put them to bed early. And I don't know if this is a Jackson State team that was very good. Are they really run down and tired? Did you play your best game? Again, probably a combination of those things. But the real story to me of that game was that you had, I think, 56 bench points. This was the head and shoulders story above anything else, that KJ Allen plays his best game. DeMaurian Williams plays his best game. Kerwin Walton knocks down a couple of threes. These weren't stressful minutes that they were playing. It's about the competition's about to stiffen mightily here in a couple of weeks, but if anything, you played well, you have a good feeling, you get some confidence, and some of your bench players that you've desperately needed to kind of come along here, maybe they get some confidence too by seeing the ball go through the net a bit.
So which of those guys, Level, to you is the gold, and which is the fool's gold in terms of guys you can count on, who can use this as a springboard to be used more, I guess, off the bench? Because
I'm not ready to say any of them yet. Honestly, I don't know. I think that the hardest part about being a college basketball player at this level is consistency.
Sure.
And not because once Bacho comes back, KJ Allen's not going to get as many minutes. Now, maybe does he replace Robert Jennings' minutes? I mean, possibly. But with Kerwin Walton and DeMaurian Williams, I mean, they combined for 7 threes in this game. And they're going to get 2 more chances, against Houston Christian on this week, and then I think South Carolina State a few days after Christmas, and then after that you're off to the races, and the races don't stop until you decide whether the NCAA is going to let you play more basketball or not in mid to late March. But I'm just don't know if we've seen enough yet. But I was glad to see them, kind of get some confidence. And I mean, those are pieces that are going to be desperately needed, So,
Sure.
but I have not seen enough to say, to me right now, it's still all fool's gold category until you see a body of work put together, not just one game. But hey, man, I'll take it. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah. And the confidence thing seems to be such a huge issue at times. And hopefully maybe one of those guys can gain some confidence from what we saw on Saturday and move forward with that. Because Big 12 play is right around the corner. December,
yeah, and the thing is like, Jackson State's RPI or net, is around that 320. Houston Christian, who you play this week, their net ranking is, I think, 361 out of 363.
Yikes.
So it's really hurting you to play these games. Okay, even if you win them, it negatively affects your, all the data.
Yeah.
And I think South Carolina State, who you play right after Christmas, their net ranking is around what Jackson State's is, around the 325 or so range. And so, these need to be two comfortable wins because right now you're 0-2 in your quad one opportunities against Ohio State and Creighton. And then you look at Creighton, Choice, and that's one of your kind of your best losses. The wheels have fallen off. They've lost six games in a row. And I can't imagine that, as good as Ryan Kalkbrenner is for that program, he's been out for a while. I just can't imagine that they've just lost 6 in a row, but they've played a tough schedule. There's not been many gimmies there. All their losses have been pretty, good losses. But the fact that they've lost 6 in a row, it's just it's crazy, because when you see them, you're thinking, "Oh boy, this is they're a load, and they can't win a game right now
because of the net and the RPI and those sorts of things." You're supposed to root for everybody after you play them outside of conference play, and some of those teams aren't living up to it, especially Creighton. That's been crazy to watch. A lot of those ones early, they lost by 6 or 7 at Texas as one of those. And then it just seems like they've gotten worse and worse as it's rolled on. But man, the Jays, you're kind of counting on them to be a really good team, and they've got to find it again. But basketball wise, got a couple of more gimmies, and then Big 12 play is right around the corner. Big week this week for football, because signing day is coming up. Joey McGuire, I don't know if you call it grabbing headlines, but got, raised some eyebrows by saying the words, "This probably the fastest class that Texas Tech will have ever signed, and maybe the fastest when you're talking about just pure time speed. Maybe the fastest in the country," is what Joey McGuire said. So
I think he mentioned verified track times and all those things. I mean, look, they knew they needed to get faster as a team. That they're way too slow at way too many of the positions. This is something they're trying to infuse into their program. They need to. This is sorely needed to add lots and lots of speed. So. We'll see what ends up happening with these with this class, and it's mostly high school. Okay, that's the you're going to get somewhere between 22 to 25. As far as high school additions, and you have to remain calm in that. A lot of this is not immediate help. This is not.
Sure.
This is kind of, because I mean, Joseph Adedire, maybe the only freshman that really saw
true freshman,
meaningful minutes or not minutes, but the snaps. Transitioning from basketball to football there. Yeah. Oops.
We're in between.
Yeah, that's right. But Joseph Adedire, really the only one that kind of, I thought, really helped you quite a bit. And he was the only freshman. So you just have to. Kind of keep some perspective as it relates to your class. But this is the way Joey wants to do it, because the real news, like for the immediate, will be kind of the portal additions that they're trying to add. And at the time that you and I are talking about this, we're not exactly sure what that looks like, but they're in the mix for several that would help them immediately, and they need help immediately at some of these spots.
And as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, it's more of there's a lot of interest in Texas Tech from people in the portal, but Tech kind of gets to be a little more picky and choosy here, where you can take really positions of need more than anything, right?
Yeah, just because I think when you're the head coach at one of these schools in the state of Texas, I think you're gonna end up getting calls on, I want to come home.
Yeah.
And I went off to school wherever I tried it, but when I'm homesick or I'm just not getting to play, and I'd rather be in my home state of Texas, kind of thing. So you're going to get interest. Then when you're, you coached at Baylor and you've got coaches on your staff that were kind of, at TCU, at Austin P, at a lot of these different places. I mean, Oregon, you're going to get some interest there just because of your staff. So there's a combination of things, but yeah, the spots are at a premium on how much room you have. And I think only did you have some room when you have the departures of, Donovan, Weston Wright, Philip Bliddy, Reggie Pearson, Ethan Card, Michael Shanahan, Derek Lewis, Kobe Minor, possibly, so you have enough room there to where now you can go try to attack some spots on your defense and maybe some skill on offense.
Kind of going 1-for-1 in terms of.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. It's like, I know you're a big nightclub guy. So whenever the nightclub is packed, and it's like that, you got the guy out there behind the red velvet rope. Yeah. And he's like, hey man, you got to wait for some people to leave before we can let anybody in. Otherwise the fire marshal's going to shut us down. But that's kind of the way it is right now. They needed some folks that are currently on the team to kind of leave the club before you could open up that, unhook the velvet rope and say, okay, check the name on the clipboard and invite you in or not. So
yep, you pegged me. Total nightclub guy. I don't know that I've ever been to an actual nightclub in my lifetime, Level, but okay. One of these days,
Well, I can't imagine there's a lot of that in Dumas, Texas either.
Not a lot in Dumas, Texas. I think I went to something, in the Depot district that might be construed as a nightclub one time in college. So
yeah, that's right.
Just one of those. So a big week in terms of football. We just kind of watched the transfer portal as far as that goes. Are there any chance for surprise on signing day when it comes to guys that could commit that you?
Oh, always. Yeah. Always. And I think it goes both ways.
Right. Yeah.
It's always like, I mean, you go back to, you're going to have to help me out here, Woodman, but you go back to last year and it was who was the skill player at Tascosa that ends up going to TCU, and the running back.
The running back. Yeah.
Skill player.
I've already forgotten his name. Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah. I'll let you hit the Google machine right there whenever we're as sort of talking. But I think that I think the staff went to bed last year at this time and thought, okay, we've done it. And then you wake up and he's changed his mind in the middle of the night.
Major Everhart.
There you go. And then I think that speed. That was but so you just ultimately never know, I guess. Sure. Is my point. So yeah, the surprises work both ways, but yeah, I think there's certainly that possibility, and you just have to keep your this is, and there's so much going on because this is going to happen on December the 21st of this year, Christmas and Christmas Eve, and people are making holiday plans and you're getting out of school and it's just kind of chaotic this time of year for families in general. And then you drop this deal into everybody's lap, and it kind of takes away from early February because it really is now all happening with the early signing period. But you'll certainly get more news in January as well. But it also allows you to kind of start working ahead if you get the bulk of your recruiting class put together.
All right, Level, got a few questions to toss your way, then we'll wrap it up. Leah on the Twitter asked, did Bacho ever get to find his cat?
So we landed from Houston, fairly late Saturday evening, and I heard somebody ask him I guess getting off the flight or whatever. Hey
Mhm.
man, anybody, you ever find your cat? And he's like, no. So he not
Oh,
not not at that point, but
okay.
yeah, big time animal lover is Bacho. I know somebody on the staff that's got 5 or 6 animals at their house, and when Bacho came over, he ended up wanting to meet them one at a time, so he could
Okay.
I just think he's got a soft spot for animals and stuff. So I think he's got more than one cat. But yeah, so I think that was a real thing.
Yeah.
I'm not on Instagram a ton, but yeah, there were people concerned for Obacho, but and
Yeah.
hopefully we see him back on the court very very soon.
Is that expected?
Good
Any
question.
timeline? Yeah.
Yeah, good question. It'll my guess would be it's either against Houston Christian or South Carolina State. But yeah, I think you'd love to get some, get him back, trying to get back him in the flow of things before you go to Fort Worth against TCU on the 31st. Because I'm telling you, this little next week to 2 weeks is gonna go by really quick.
Yeah.
And then I mean, you have at TCU, and then you host Kansas. I mean, boom boom.
Hmm.
And if you're not careful with that stretch, I mean, you're at 0-2 quickly. And there's
Very.
the second week, I think you have back-to-back road trips. I mean, it's going to heat up quick. And,
Very.
this is all, non-pressure in some ways basketball being played right now, but it's about to get real serious in a hurry. And you don't exactly have just this great resume at this point going into conference play. And you won't. There's nothing you can do to enhance it other than just win the remaining 2 games, and then just but you're in a position in the Big 12 to where if you take care of your business and hover around 500 at least, you're going to be just fine. Because this is very clearly NCAA tournament or what went wrong type
Sure.
type program at this point. You're ranked in the preseason and ranked for 2 or 3 weeks before and in the early part of the season. So anyway.
All right. Another basketball question says, Level, who is currently the most important player to Texas Tech basketball's team?
I mean, to me, man, that is it's one of 3 guys. It's a great conversation. It's one of 3 guys. I in some ways I tell you that it is maybe Bacho.
Mm-hmm.
In other ways, I would tell you it's maybe Harmon.
Mm-hmm.
And then I could make a good argument for Kevin O'Banner too.
Okay.
I just think that because neither one of those 3 guys really has any kind of true backup, and that's the scary thing.
Yeah.
You also in O'Banner and Harmon's case, those are easily your 2 most experienced guys, and there's no replacement for that either. Guys that have been through it, have done it, have played on the road, all of those things. But yeah, I don't want to see really what life is like long term without any of those 3. But I probably would tell you that in some ways, it's probably Davion Harmon, just because I think he's your best on ball defender. I think that he's the quickest guy on your team, and he's one of the most experienced guys on your team. And he's not your leading scorer. He's not, your best 3-point shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Pop could slide over and play some point guard and all those things, although I think he's better off the ball. But I guess I would tell you, if you're asking me and pinning me down, I would probably say Harmon, then Bacho, and then O'Banner in that order.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. That not having true backups for those positions or those particular players makes their importance, that much more. So, football-ish question here. This one from Mark. Level, when should we expect the schedules to be released for Big 12 football?
Well, I'm sure everybody's seen the reports out. It's not going to be until, it looks like, early February now.
So we're waiting on OU in Texas. Is this?
Well, no, it's. I don't think it's that necessarily that factors in. I think they're trying to figure out what this is going to look like if they can come to an agreement on them exiting early, because all signs point to them that they will. That you're just going to get one year of a 14-team league instead of 2. I think they're going to rework it. So everything that we kind of thought we knew about next year's schedule could, in fact, all change.
Yeah.
So when I thought that you're not going to play either one of the Oklahoma schools, when you're going to go here and there, and you kind of hear some murmurs and stuff, in my opinion, now all bets are off.
Sure.
Because I think this is a continued negotiation is what it is. And I think what you have is TV networks that are wanting to know because they're trying to make plans, and there's windows and all that. And I think the Big 12 is trying to make sure that it's best for them to let them out early. And what does that mean for us financially, and how much money are we owed? And then you see Dennis Dodd's reporting of CBS that, okay, what if we guarantee non-conference games at Big 12 stadiums involving Oklahoma and Texas? There's some of that as well. So I think it's all on the table. I think Oklahoma and Texas, once the playoff expanded, that expedites things now, I think, for everybody involved. And the SEC's trying to make their schedule for off into the distance. You're trying to figure out, are we doing pod systems? Are we doing division? What in the world are we doing here? And nobody can really make any plans because you're in limbo. And so I think that that can has been kicked down the road, and we're not going to get any sort of closure on it until early February, it sounds like, according to the Big 12 commissioner.
But as of right now, the expectation is still that we will have one season with 14 teams in the league.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, that's already past that, right?
That's what I think. Yeah, absolutely.
Because the SEC's already released their schedules for next year, not involving OU and Texas. So we'll have 1 year. Now, is there any chance that the league were to, help out your teams, your teams that have been in the league? If there's a request, like say Texas Tech wanted Texas to come back, just purely hypothetical, back to Lubbock another time next season, is that a possibility that you could see something like that?
I wouldn't rule out anything there. I'm not real sure because there's no such thing at this point as fair or some sort of rotation. True. Because it's all changing.
Right.
So I really don't know. I mean, I guess nothing would surprise me at this point. I'm as fascinated to look at it and pick it apart as much as anybody because it's been in the last decade ish. It's really been, okay, how many bye weeks do you get? When do you get it? And are you playing on any kind of off night? Okay, so that's really been because you were going to play everybody, and now it is going to be really the first thing you're looking at. Okay, who am I not playing?
Right.
And who got hosed, who got been, even though we'll think we kind of have a good feel for what that's supposed to look like in February, I guess, or whenever we see it, and it turns out we may not. There's so many things that change off into the distance, but
even when there was 12 teams in the Big 12, you still kind of knew your rotation of, okay, this is the year you get Kansas, or this is the year you're going to be playing.
Oh yeah, this is a total. Yeah. And I think from the Big 12 standpoint is that you have no idea. So this is going to be a one-off.
Yeah,
you have no idea what the following year means either, because this is going to be just kind of a one-off. And I think originally they had said, okay, we've got 2 years of this 14-team deal. Everybody's going to play everybody at least once. We're going to try to keep some of these regional rivalries in place. They'd be stupid not to do that. In other words, just because those are big for TV and money and all those things, in other words, to keep, like, say, for example, Oklahoma and Texas from not playing each other. That's never going to happen. Mm-hmm. That would be really stupid on the conference's part to operate that way, just because it would cost them a significant amount of revenue. And so, but yeah, all is on the table, man. I really don't know. I'm sure that there's certain things that are important to each institution, especially the 8 the originals that will remain, and you try to accommodate, but you can't please everybody, and you can't give everybody what they want. You can try, but the the 8 originals, not counting Texas or Oklahoma, and then not counting the 4 new schools. Those 8 schools maybe have a request or two that they would like to see get done, and maybe they get it, maybe they don't. I don't know.
Well, Level, well, you asked me this question a week ago. Have you finished all your Christmas shopping by this point? You done?
I think so. Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. Yeah, this week is going to go by really fast. You're going to look up and you're going to be in Houston, Texas for the bowl game. But I do hope that everybody, out there is able to kind of wind down a little bit and spend some time with family and friends. And as we've just gotten some perspective this week with a couple of different tough stories out there, you just never know what you wake up to every day, and you just hope everybody has a Merry Christmas or whatever they celebrate at this time of the year, and safe travels, because I know I think are you traveling at all for the holidays at all, just even if it's on the road?
We'll go up north to Dumas for a little bit.
So I hope you are careful. I'm headed to Cowtown to see my folks for a few days, and so it's a lot of time spent on the road, but just hope everybody has
for sure
safe travels and Merry Christmas, and you get what you want. You get what you want, and for Texas Tech football and men's basketball, I'm just looking for some stability.
That's your gift.
I mean, like roster stability,
Sure.
and coaching stability, roster stability.
Nice.
Those are hard to come by in these sports, and if you get them, usually success is around the corner. So,
well, Level, we'll do one more of these between Christmas and the bowl game. So have yourself a merry little Christmas, and we'll talk to you then.
Why does it have to be little?
Well, it could be a big one.
Okay. All right. Appreciate it, Woodman. Thanks for spending time with me on these, man. Enjoyed it.
For sure. That's Chris Level. I'm Chois Woodman. You've been tuned into the Ask Level podcast powered by Double T 97.3. Have a very Merry Christmas.
You've been listening to the Ask Level podcast, powered by Double T 97.3. For more from Lubbock Sports Station, go to doublet973.com.